kids never thought about committing suicide.
Yeah,
And they have
exactly.
classes about hanging yourself and taking pills when you're upset. Well, that's now an option.
Yeah.
It's like they've proven that you'll have a few mass shooters, who, by the way, are always on the legal prescription drugs, always. And then other kids hear it and copycat because that's what you're supposed to do now, is go to a shopping mall or a school and shoot the place up.
Yeah, no, I don't know how many school shootings have ever been done when just the kids were just high on marijuana. I'm not out to promote marijuana at all. Some of the criticism
You're
I've gotten
totally
from this
clean.
film. Yeah, some of the criticism I've gotten on this film is that some of the kids that are reformers trying to like legalize drugs right now will watch this and they go, well, God, you made drug use look so bad. And I said, well, I'm not out to glamorize drug use with this thing.
Now, drug use is really bad, but this is where we should start. And you've got statistics that are actually conservative. It's much worse, the numbers I've seen. You're going with conservative federal government numbers.
Yeah.
Give them the numbers of what illegal drugs do versus legal drugs.
Well, I'm in the film we're talking about that cigarettes kill approximately 450,000 people a year. Alcohol kills about 150,000 people per year, and that's just health-related illnesses. We're not talking about car accidents or any of that, just 150,000 health-related. Pharmaceutical prescription drugs, about 100,000 a year, all illegal drugs combined.
So we're above 700,000.
Yeah, and you get into a million when you kind of talk about accidents and other, all the other related things. And all illegal drugs combined, 11,000, which just goes to show. And when you talk about marijuana,
11,000 versus 700 plus thousand.
yeah, and when you talk to a drug warrior about that, they'll give you the, well, two wrongs don't make a right. That's the logic they try to throw at
But
you.
the
At the
point
same time,
is,
putting people in jail.
And you get into some of this in the film. Your next one's going to have more on this. That they just had a CIA aircraft that had been used for torture and rendition flights. A Gulfstream crashed with 3.3 tons, 3,000.3 tons of pure Peruvian flake coming out of Central America. It crashes in Yucatan. It's a CIA aircraft. You've interviewed Celo Costello, former head of the DEA in Latin America, highly decorated police officer, Vietnam vet. Gets hired by the DEA, goes down to El Apengo Airport, and he's watching Oliver North and the CIA load C-130s full of cocaine. And then, of course, Freer Ricky Ross, this has been admitted. This came out in congressional hearings. You're the only person going to interview with him, by the way.
Yeah.
And that's in here, from prison, who you become friends with. And once you talk about that, they come to him, this young black guy who's a business guy, and they say, we want to introduce this. And he was selling $25 million of cocaine a day for the CIA, and that's where the crack epidemic began.
And he didn't
then
even
it
know.
caused this, exactly, and then it caused this huge nationwide crime epidemic and the rest of it. And the point is, why do they push Ritalin and Prozac and things whose molecules, if you look at their structure, are more dangerous and toxic and addictive than cocaine? That's horrible.
Well,
We're not saying it's good.
They've proven too that children that take Ritalin have a much higher
4 times more
rate,
likely
yeah,
to
becoming
get
a
on drugs.
Yeah, become a cokehead or a crystal meth head or a base
So I mean,
head
that's
or-
the whole point. Is this is a problem reaction solution? If you go, and of course you didn't cover this in the film, but I was consulting for you on the film. We were watching documentaries, reading books, and of course we confirmed early on that in the 20s they had prohibition. They were about to get rid of alcohol prohibition, and you had the 1 or 2 companies that brought in all the cocaine and all the laudanum, all the opium, all the heroin. They were legally sold across the store shelves. And this is history, folks. This is not debatable. You can go look this up. And these big companies got together and said, let's make it illegal. Then we can still ship it in, but there'll be a huge black market on it. Prohibition's about to end. We can buy the police off with it. We can use this to take over all the other rackets. And we can also have a police state crackdown. And then they've done that. So we're really 80 years now, roughly, into this drug war. And they've tripled the drug war funding since 1990, and we have triple the heroin, double the cocaine, and growing that we had then. So the fact is, the bigger the drug war gets, the more drugs you have. And then you track back the big banks that are laundering most of $500 billion a year in drug money, illegal drug money here in the U.S., and they're laundering it, and they're left alone. They're the big fish. They're then the ones who own and control the private prisons, where people that use drugs are working for 20 cents an hour, then displacing the general population and driving down wages.
Yeah, and it's another thing. We go into there's a film, a corporation by the name of the Geo Group, which is in the film. In the film is Tommy Chong, who was actually went to federal prison because his son was using his face to sell bongs on the internet. It wasn't for drugs, wasn't anything, because his son was just using the name and face of Tommy Chong to sell glass pipes on the internet. That's all he was doing.
You put a lot of work into this. You got to interview Tommy Chong.
Yeah,
Now,
getting into prison.
now is the Schwarzenegger, because I haven't seen the newest version, is the Schwarzenegger thing in there?
No, that's not in there.
You want to tell folks about that?
Well, yeah, I mean, basically, Tommy and Schwarzenegger used to lift weights together at Venice Beach there on Muscle Beach, and they were like close buddies. They live in the same neighborhood, Pacific Palisades, real spiffy neighborhood over there by the coast. And when Tommy went to jail, I mean, Arnold could have pardoned him and got him out of trouble, but basically Arnold bolted and stopped returning his phone calls.
And he was friends up until that point.
Yeah.
Still smoking.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, and
So
even
Arnold's at Pumping Iron smoking dope.
Yeah.
He's a big doper.
Yeah, and in California right now, everybody it's a very marijuana. I think marijuana is more legal in California than it is in Amsterdam right now. I mean, anybody can go get a marijuana prescription and go and get this stuff, which a lot of people will say, well, they just want to get high. They just want to get high. And it's like, okay, well, let's take the worst case scenario. Let's just say they just want to get high. Well, you know what? I'd rather have my kids get high than get drunk. And that whole gateway theory, back when I did drugs, let me tell you right now, alcohol is the gateway. I don't care what anybody says. I've never been stoned and wanted to go on some crazy bender, but I have when I was
And you don't get stoned and go drive 100 miles an hour.
No, absolutely. You get stoned and you drive 5 miles an hour. You might get rear-ended if you're stoned.
You
but
get drunk and go to a party and get in a fight.
Yeah, absolutely.
And again, alcohol kills. I mean, they can't even give you marijuana deaths.
Yeah, it's
and
crazy.
then alcohol kills tens of thousands a year.
And you go to California. When you're in California, you go to the grocery store and they've just got big pyramids of Jack Daniels stacked up next to the milk and bread and the cookies. You know what I mean? And you can just throw it in your shopping basket.
And the film gets it. I mean, your parents.
Yeah. I mean,
I love your parents were great people. Go out to the ranch and ride horses and hang out in Fredericksburg. And you mind if I tell these stories?
No, it's okay. Yeah, it's fine.
Well, I'm not
It's
gonna.
fine. No, that's
No, I
fine.
mean, they would just be like, what was it, the vodka?
Yeah, no, my parents were big drinkers, but but that's what's weird is that with all that my dad drank, it was actually the cigarette smoking that killed him in the end. I mean, I never even saw my dad smoke a cigarette, but it was that habit that came back and gave him throat cancer. But everything gets complicated when you get sick. I mean, he was already on kidney dialysis from all the booze and
Your mom, she died of drinking.
liver failure from all the alcohol. So, and my brother was taking pharmaceutical legal doses. He wasn't even getting high or anything like that. He was taking legal doses, prescribed doses of pharmaceutical drugs to control schizophrenia, and ended up having a seizure and dying from that. And that's a very common thing, which is people, when people get caught up into the system, and it's happened to me too, you start getting prescriptions from doctors, and then this doctor, you'll start having more side effects, and then the doctor will send you to this doctor, and that doctor will give you a prescription. And now you're having and you don't realize that you keep thinking you're getting sicker and sicker, but really what you're having is side effects. And most of the people that are taking 10
By the way,
prescriptions
over
at once.
300,000 die a year just from malpractice, and like you said, over 100,000 of that is the drugs.
Yeah,
and
that's crazy.
that's what doctors reporting
Yeah.
on themselves. If the medical institutions are reporting on themselves over 100,000 from prescription drugs, imagine
Yeah.
what it really is.
Oh, it's crazy. It happens to everybody. It happens, I mean, and people.
But
just
now,
get
if you're in
caught
a
up
car
this.
wreck, or you get depressed, or you get a divorce, or you're not doing good in school, they just say Prozac.
Yeah, or Paxil, even worse. My mom died. I was depressed, and I went to my doctor, and I said, I just need maybe something to take the edge off for a couple of days. I'm having trouble sleeping. I'm depressed, and they want to put me on Paxil. I took one Paxil pill, and it was like taking some bizarre CIA acid. I mean, it put a smile on my face. I couldn't even stop it. I was I'm so happy. I'm so happy. Literally, it was 18 hours. It was horrifying. When that wore off, I was like, oh my God, they give this to kids. I think they gave it to my niece one time. And they just dole out this stuff just like it's anything. Oh, you're a little bit.
Well, that the psychotropics are in the hallucinogen class.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And of course, it was the CIA that, and this is admitted, brought in LSD and gave out the formula.
And people would probably be better off just taking LSD than they would taking most of these drugs. And I know a lot of people out there are going to go, oh my God, and disagree with that. But, once again, all these drugs that the pharmaceutical corporations are peddling out there, I think 99% of them are just not good.
We've gone 20 minutes into the show. We've got a few clips we're going to play here from American Drug War, Kevin Booth's new film, to be on Showtime next March, and then on DVD a month or so after that. Kevin, what's this first clip we're going to play?
We're going to play this. I was out on a LAPD ride-along, and we answered a call in a Chinese restaurant in Skid Row.
This guy's on PCP.
Yeah, this is a little PCP scene.
All right, here it is.